Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review. Next up is the Hasbro Marvel Legends series, the Thunderbolts 2-pack. Just a heads up guys, I found this at a Walmart store that was far away. It's not one of my local Walmarts, but Walmart is starting to get these. They're doing this crazy like collector display. I gave a little bit more details in the review at the start of the John Walker USAgent Sentry 2-pack if you want to go back and kind of watch through that. Just a heads up, FYI, the cases on these did say street date for September 1st. So just a heads up, if you can't find it at Walmart or online shops haven't shipped any out, that's kind of the reason for it there. But anyway, I was able to get both of the 2-packs for the Thunderbolts. We get 4 out of the 6 main characters of the movie, unfortunately. But here we have Yelena and the Red Guardian 2-pack. This is the 3rd Red Guardian figure that we've gotten, which is crazy. This is also the 3rd Yelena figure that we got. Not as crazy, but crazy that we got 3 Red Guardian figures. 2 of those figures, though, I mean, are the same thing. It's just, we got one that was better than this one. This one just, wasn't quite right on the David Harbour look. And then they kind of made some color adjustments and stuff on there. But it is technically the 3rd Red Guardian figure that we've gotten. And you know what? He looks really good. Yelena looks really good as well. So I'm excited for this 2-pack. Hopefully it'll be a little bit better than the John Walker and Sentry 2-pack, which I think was one that I was more excited for, but left a little disappointed on Sentry. We will see how these two will go. I have a feeling this will be a better 2-pack, but we'll kind of get into it. So we get the Thunderbolts logo there at the bottom, Thunderbolts logo there at the top. On the side, we get this kind of blacked out silhouetted look to the characters, which matches the whole look on the back. The bio for Yelena reads, highly trained assassin Yelena Belova must team up with an unlikely group of deadly agents to take down Valentina Allegra de Fontaine and the immense power she wields. Red Guardians, upon hearing of a dangerous new threat, Alexei Shostakov leaps at the opportunity to be a hero and reclaim his glory days as the Red Guardian. I like that bio quite a bit. So let's go ahead, get right into it. Let's open this up and let's take a look at these 2 figures. Okay, so here we have Yelena and Alexei Red Guardian out of the package. And a couple of things. I don't know, like the Red Guardian figure is actually pretty good. The Yelena figure is not bad, but I don't know what Hasbro's doing lately when it comes to like knees. Like, why are these knees so ugly looking? Like, why? What happened? I don't get it. Like, see how they just like stick out? Like, it's ugly. Like, what in the world is going on? Like, why are they like squared off and why are they ugly? Red Guardian's legs, like his knees look pretty good. But there's a couple of weird things going on here. This darker red piece on his leg, that's like a separate piece. I don't know if it's because they didn't want to paint it, so they're like, we'll just mold it in a different color plastic and then glue it on. Because it's not all the way tight right there, so you kind of see a little gap. It's just odd to me, a little bit weird, but otherwise this figure is pretty good. So overall, I'm happy with this 2-pack. I do think it's going to be better than the other 2-pack. From a figure execution standpoint, I think a lot of people will be happier to get the Sentry figure versus a couple of characters that we've already gotten before. But we get loaded with a bunch of stuff. So Yelena has a couple of things. She's got these batons here, which she could store on her back, which is really cool. So that is really nice. We have that option there so they can kind of slip into place there. Really cool. She does have a gun here. It's just kind of two-tone. It's got like this darkish greenish color and then black for the handle there. She does come with a little dagger knife that sheaths right in there. So that is really cool as well. So she can keep everything on the figure. I always like it when, we get stuff like that. She's got trigger finger hands on the figure out of the package. And then she also comes with a pair of fists. So that is nice. Red Guardian has a couple of things going for him, which is cool. So his hands, he's got 2 trigger fingers. So he's got a right and left trigger finger out of the package. We already got the one on the right, and then he comes with the left. Then we have a fist for the right, but on the left hand, unfortunately, it's not a fist. It's just like this open hand here, which could kind of work if he's doing something like, we are the Thunderbolts, right? And he's got open hands or whatever. I can't remember if he did fists, but I would have liked to get 2 fists. It's unfortunate that we didn't get that there. And then on the back of the hand, because the hinge, his wrist is exposed a little bit on the inside, they didn't paint the hinge, so it looks a little bit funky on the inside when it comes to these hands. So that is a little bit unfortunate there. We get two head sculpts, though. We get the fully helmeted head sculpt there, and that looks really good. And then we get an unmasked head sculpt, which looks like David Harbour, you know, with a shaven head. It's not completely bald, as you can see. There's a couple of two-tones, so you get a little bit of some stubble and scruff in there on the top of his head, so that is really good. We'll get in for a closer look at that with the head on there, and that's cool. And then he comes with two guns. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I don't remember him using guns in the movie at all. Like, I don't think at any point he used those guns. Maybe I'm wrong in that. I don't think he did. So we got these guns. They're two, and these are real-looking guns, and they look good. One person asked the question, it's like, well, hey, can John Walker use these guns? And I will get to that shortly. I was going to do it right now, but I realized that I put the trigger finger hand away, so I will get into that here pretty soon. So we got those guns, so that is cool there. So that is Red Guardian and Yelena. Let's go ahead and get in for a closer look so we can check out the head sculpts. Okay, so let's get in for a closer look at the David Harbour head sculpt. So here we have him with the helmet on, and that looks pretty good. There is quite a bit of depth from the helmet to the inside of his eyes. So it just shows that, you know, instead of like one gigantic molded piece, there are separate pieces, so the helmet is separate from the head. So it's fine details like that, which are cool, but again, it just does have a lot of gap between the outside of the helmet to where you see his eyes in there. And then let's pop the unhelmeted head sculpt on there. And then we've got David Harbour. And I think that looks pretty good in there. I don't know if that's like a paint scuff right there on the top of his head. But I think that looks like David Harbour pretty decently. I don't think it's the greatest head sculpt, but I do think it looks pretty good. I think the helmeted head sculpt that we had gotten before was pretty nice as well. But this is the new one. And then we had this like clean look to David Harbour based on early, early concept art, and then, you know, I don't know that completely looks like David Harbour a little bit, but I think this looks pretty good there. And then let's take a look at Yelena, and Yelena looks really good. Almost too good, like it has too clean of a look. She should have had kind of like all like dirt in her face and everything like that, and I think it would have looked a little bit better. But I think it really looks like her. I think it's the best likeness that we have gotten so far, because and remember, we got two figures before, whereas this figure was a problem to begin with. The size of the figure was just not good. I see the likeness in there, but the execution of it wasn't as good. I can see it a little bit, but again, the execution in the figure, I think, was not great. But then we also had the other Yelena figure, and then this looks like her, but it was a very different look because it was very specific to the end of the Hawkeye show. To where her hair was done a certain way and she had the dark makeup and stuff. I think it looks good, but I think this one definitely looks better, as you could see there. It just kind of has a little bit of a cleaner look to the figure. It's just the skin tone is a little too pale for my liking, but otherwise it looks pretty good. And then looking at the texture of the figure, it's nice. There's lots of wrinkles in the kind of the overall jumpsuit that she's wearing, so that looks really good there. Some nice sculpted wrinkles right there when it comes down to her boots and stuff like that, so that is good. They just did ugly knees on there. So there we go for Yelena. And then Red Guardian, as I had mentioned before, there's a little bit of that gap. So why they made this darker red piece a separate piece, I don't understand. Why not just paint that? But, you know, who knows? You get the holsters on the back. And like this white piece, that is a separate piece there. I can understand why they did that, because painting that beige or off-white eggshell like onto the shoulder pad, look how it looks shiny and just doesn't really look good over the red. So this was probably the right call there. But that dark red over the brighter red, paint-wise, that wouldn't have been an issue. Like, I don't understand. But they did that kind of in other places. Like this front piece here, this padding is a separate piece from the torso. It's just a bit odd. If you get the chance, look over different ones, because the paint here, the eggshell off-white paint, was pretty bad on some of them. You know, it's a case of 4, so there's not a whole lot of opportunity there. So this was the best looking one that I was able to get out of the pack. But man, like, just careful out there, because some of them just really don't look good. I had mentioned I would see if the gun fits on John Walker's hand. Yes, but it's a little bit large and it kind of fits in there weird. And the problem is he has a standard horizontal hinge on the trigger finger hand instead of the vertical hinge. But yes, you can get that gun in his hand. Again, it just doesn't. It's not the perfect fit, but it kind of works. So yes, so it's better than having no gun, which is weird that they wouldn't have just packed one in with him, but they did for Red Guardian, who, again, I don't think used the gun at any point in the movie. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments below if he did, because I don't remember him doing it. Maybe I'm just wrong. But let's go ahead and get into the articulation. Okay, so articulation, we'll start with Yelena. Yelena's head is on a dumbbell joint. She's got a super long neck in there. I guess when it's on there, it doesn't look as bad. She can basically look down, but she cannot look up whatsoever. I also think they should have darkened up the hair a little bit more blondish as opposed to less whitish. You get some good head pivot, neck pivot going on in there. She can do a full rotation, of course. The arm you can get to go straight on out like so. You get a full rotation in there. You do get an upper... It's kind of hard, but you do get an upper bicep swivel in there. You get the double jointed elbow, gives you that much bend at the elbow. Wrists swivel and they hinge. The trigger finger hands are the vertical hinge, so they did a good job there. The fists are the standard horizontal hinge, so obviously that all makes sense. We get the diaphragm cut on Yelena, and this is where it gets a little bit weird when it comes to Hasbro stuff. So typically the upper torso would be a little bit larger than the lower torso to try and make it look a little bit natural. They didn't really do that as much. It's basically like just a cut, and then it tapers in a little bit, but not a whole lot. The movement is limited, so she could tilt to her left that much there. It's not a lot, and it doesn't look great. She could tilt to her right a little bit more, and that actually looks better. But for whatever reason, to the left, I guess it's just kind of how you position it. Leaning back is only a little bit, but it's just kind of weird the way it tapered out. Like looking at the torso, it comes out. And it's just kind of weird to me because then it tapers in. It's just kind of odd. So leaning back a little bit, but coming forward is a little bit, but it's ugly in the back. I don't think they executed it real well on there, unfortunately. You get a swivel at that diaphragm. It does kind of rock around because there's no waist swivel or anything like that. So it's kind of funky. Legs go out that far apart. She can kick forward that far, which is good. The leg does go back a little bit of ways. You got an upper thigh cut in there, double jointed knee. That much bend there at the knee. Again, the kneecap is just really, really ugly. I don't like the way it looks. She does not have boot swivel. I feel like they could have done swivel because, they're going to say, well, it's not a clean cut. It's not completely straight across. Neither is really this bicep, and yet they did it, and you can swivel that around. So I think they could have. It's just unfortunately they did not. Foot hinges down that much there. You can hinge up a little bit. Ankle pivot, peg holes at the bottom of the feet. So I think the figure is okay. The diaphragm is disappointing, and then the kneecaps look weird. Other than that, I think the figure has some good things going for it. But it's tough with some of the things that Hasbro does. I feel like they could have done the knees so much better, and just for whatever reason they didn't. Diaphragm cuts, they basically always mess that up, unfortunately. I wish they could do better, but maybe one day they'll figure it out. Red Guardian, I feel like his legs are a little short. Maybe that's just me. But looking at the articulation, he can look up somewhat. He can look down a little bit, but the beard does get in the way. You get a full rotation in there, and you can get some pivot going on in the head. The arm you can get to go straight on out. That shoulder pad kind of moves around in there with it, so you can get the arm out. You get a full rotation in that arm. You got an upper bicep swivel in there. Double jointed pinless elbow gives you that much bend at the elbow. Wrists swivel, and they do hinge. Standard horizontal hinge on all the hand. Well, no. On the open hand and the fist, the trigger finger hands do get the vertical hinge, so that we get the correct hinge on the trigger finger hands, so that is good there. We also get a diaphragm cut on Red Guardian, so he could tilt to his left pretty good. We get that much tilt there. He can tilt to his right that much there. Not too bad. I'm liking that. He can lean back a little bit, but we get some gap in there, so just be aware of that. And it kind of got stuck. That was weird. And then coming forward is very little, so they haven't quite figured out the forward movement in there. And then you get diaphragm, so you get a swivel there. We also get a swivel at the waist, and it's weird because it's keyed in there because of the belt, I would say. But like a ball joint would have been cool. Like how much tilt could we have gotten? How much could we have leaned forward? Hopefully we get to the point where Hasbro considers ball joint waists and diaphragm cuts, like both of them, the double ball as opposed to a swivel and then a ball here, because they can both turn, and it's like, well, that's not necessary. That becomes redundant. Yes, a ball joint would do the same thing, but at least we would get better tilt and we would get better lean forward. So just my 2 cents there. Legs go out that far apart. He can kick forward that far. The leg doesn't really go back. You got an upper thigh cut in there. You get a double jointed knee, gives you that much bend there. It's a better looking kneecap though, but it does kind of hit itself on the back of the leg because he's got some thicker legs in there. Get this, we have a boot swivel. So there we go. Finally, a boot swivel, so I'm happy with that. Foot hinges down all the way. You can hinge up a little bit. Ankle pivot and peg holes at the bottom of the feet on the Red Guardian. Are these the same boots? Maybe they're the same boots. Maybe that's why. No, the legs can't be the same. The boots, oh, the boots are the same. The boots are the same. So they found a way to get some reuse out of Red Guardian. So the boots are the same, and I think that's it. Nothing else is the same. Yeah, nothing else is the same. Because you had a very textured look on the old suit, whereas the new suit is very smooth. But they reused the boots, so there was something that they did not have to sculpt there, or did not have to pay for new tooling, so there is that. So that is Red Guardian and Yelena, the articulation. Okay, so let's get some side-by-side comparisons out of the way. So here we have the Hawkeye version of Yelena, and as you can see, it's a much taller figure. Same with the Black Widow version, but size-wise, you know, the actress, Florence Pugh, she's not like a super skinny, she's not big at all. Like I want to be careful with my words, but she's not super skinny like these figures kind of portray her to look. This one has a much more accurate look to her, which I do appreciate there. And then Red Guardian, again, because this is also his third figure, so we'll put this new one in the middle, and then we have the other two. This was that 2-pack with the what was the mom's name? I can't think of her name, but that was in that other 2-pack there. So there we go with all our Red Guardians and then all our Yelenas. Okay, so I'm going to cheat a little bit since I'm filming both reviews kind of at the same time, and then we'll get to editing and doing all that. So here are the 4 Thunderbolts figures that we have gotten. Unfortunately, no Winter Soldier, no Ghost, no Taskmaster. I really wish, but Hasbro didn't do it. I don't know why. Could there be more in the future? Sure. Is it likely? I want to say probably not. A new Ghost figure would have been cool. Taskmaster would have been cool. Winter Soldier would be cool. But these are the 4 that we've got. So if you're watching this, if you're watching the review of the John Walker and Sentry, you would hear me say, well, you know, I'll size compare when I do that one. I'm going to throw this clip in there so you guys can have it. You can see all 4 of them together, even in that video there. Size-wise, I think these kind of all work out. Red Guardian, I think maybe a little undersized, or John Walker is probably a little oversized. He does have very long legs compared to like his torso. So I think the John Walker figure, they probably oversized it a little bit from when they did the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show figures. And I even thought that then, because when you have like Bucky, he's, you know, quite a bit smaller. Like, let's throw it in because this is the most recent Winter Soldier figure. So you could see him compared to John Walker. He's a lot smaller. That should not be the case. I think they should be about the same size. Then you throw in Taskmaster in here, and Taskmaster's huge. Taskmaster's too big because the figure doesn't accurately represent who is under the suit and mask and all of that there. And then Ghost, I think this figure is also just undersized because like height-wise is probably good, but I guess it's good when you compare her to Yelena. It doesn't look so off. But there we go. There are our Thunderbolts team. I just wish we would have gotten new figures for Ghost, Winter Soldier, and or Taskmaster. Taskmaster could probably do without, but the look was really cool. Okay, so I want to look at the functionality of these figures. The gun fits nicely into Yelena's hand. The knife, however, look at that. It just fell right through. The knife, oh my goodness. The knife doesn't have a real good grip in those trigger finger hands because those are the only hands that she has. So they're not fully grip, but they can kind of grip. And then the batons are not a nice grip either. However, it does hold a little bit better than the knife. So just a heads up on that. And then if we look at the trigger finger hands for Red Guardian and his 2 pistols, the guns, his hands are quite large. So those guns fit in there nicely. But again, did he use the guns in the movie? You guys let me know down in the comments below. I kind of went back at the fight scene with Sentry, and it's not him that's using guns. It's John Walker, and it's Winter Soldier, but not Red Guardian. But he's got him, and that's cool. Okay, I'm just trying to have some fun with kind of stuff that was going on kind of in the film. So you can kind of get Yelena onto Sentry's back, so, you know, and she tries to do the Widow sting, and he's like, you know, this doesn't affect me or doesn't do anything to me. So that's kind of cool. All right, so this is a fun one where you got, you know, the open hands. This is where it comes in handy for Sentry because he's just like effortless, like, Red Guardian, get the hell out of here. He kind of throws him out of the building and swings them right back in. So that's kind of cool to kind of recreate that a little bit. Okay, so there we go on the Red Guardian and Yelena Belova 2-pack. You guys let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of this 2-pack? I like this one more than the other one. Unfortunately, I thought I would have liked the other one more. That's, you know, I wanted to review that one first, and, you know, I took the poll in my Instagram broadcast channel, and that's the one people voted for the most to do first. But I think this is going to be the better one from an action figure execution standpoint. I think these two figures, and forgive me while I'm trying to face Red Guardian this certain way, and I can't really get him to stand. I think these figures were just kind of executed better than the Sentry figure and the John F. Walker. Sentry isn't a terrible figure. I think Hasbro just could have done better when it comes to certain things on that figure. Watch that review and let me know what you guys think. I think this one definitely came out better. There are some odd things that I had mentioned in this review, but overall I am happy with it, and I'm glad to have the Thunderbolts, or quote-unquote the new Avengers, asterisk, right, in action figure form. I just really wish we got Winter Soldier and Ghost and even Taskmaster. Maybe we'll see them one day. Who knows? But you guys give me your thoughts down in the comments below, what you think on this 2-pack, and do you think we'll get those figures in the future, or do you want to see those figures in the future? If you're looking to pick up these 2-packs, I'll have some pre-order links in the video description below. Maybe you might find them at your local Walmart if they're doing that whole collector thing. None of mine. I was at one that was far away, and I was able to find them. So good luck out there, but give me your guys' thoughts in the comments below. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and as always, thank you for watching.